Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. My name is Frama Panyi. John Bamidele is the sign language interpreter. But now, the headlines. Nigeria Governors Forum accepts Supreme Court verdict revalidating autonomy of local government authorities. Belarusian president seeks fresh partnership to boost Nigeria's economy. And more than 1 million children at risk of acute malnutrition in Democratic Republic of Congo, World Health Organization warns. We begin with judiciary matters. The Nigeria Governors Forum has expressed its acceptance of the Supreme Court verdict revalidating the autonomy of local government authorities in the country. By its verdict on Thursday, the Apex Court outlaws the current practice in which the funds due the local government authorities have been credited to the state government account. In an interview with House correspondents after their visit to President Bola Tinubu, Chairman of the Nigeria Governors and Governor of Kwara State and his colleagues from Bauchi and Imo State describes the Supreme Court judgment as a welcome development.
Compliance is a given, and our Attorney Generals have applied for the enrollment order, which we'll study carefully. But by and large, governors are happy with the devolution of power in respect to local government autonomy.
The Governors Forum equally expresses belief that the verdict will reduce the burden of the state government.
How much states expend in building out local governments, and that's the issue there. It's not going to affect the states. We've never tampered with local government funds, so it's going to continue. What the local governments have to do is to manage themselves, especially with the upcoming minimum wage, to manage their affairs and make sure salaries are paid. Traditional rulers get their 5%, and those are the main issues.
The Muslim Media Watch Group of Nigeria has commended President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for taking legal steps to save local governments in Nigeria from total collapse. The group described the Supreme Court's judgment as a catalyst that will save local governments in Nigeria of lack of funds to perform their statutory functions. In a statement issued and signed by the National Coordinator, Abdullahi Ibrahim, the group praised the nation's Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, for his diligent prosecution of the case at the Supreme Court, which gave the president victory on the matter. On the minimum wage, the group appealed to the labor unions to back down on its demand for 250,000 naira, pointing out that the nation's economy cannot sustain it. And the United Kingdom Court of Appeal has validated Nigeria's claim for post-judgment costs to be paid in pounds sterling P&ID. In a statement issued in Abuja, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, pointed out that P&ID legal efforts to reduce drastically by claiming that Nigeria should only be entitled to recover its cost in naira, which evidently will produce a much lower cost, failed. Fagbemi, SAN, maintained that the development was another misconceived and desperate attempt by fraudsters to deprive the Nigerian people of hard-earned public revenue. The chief law officer of the nation posited that as a government, the Tinubu's administration is determined to recover this cost and make P&ID its U.S. funders pay for their scam so as to serve as a deterrent to others. Fagbemi, SAN, commended the dedication and tenacity of the Nigeria's legal team for this accomplishment. The verdict is the latest victory recorded by Nigeria in its fight against corruption and extortion by litigation hawks. And Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs will leverage on the Supreme Court's judgment on local government autonomy to adequately oversight local government administration in Nigeria to realize the renewed hope agenda of the current administration. Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Zephaniah Jisalo, stated this at the ministry's 2024 annual retreat on Performance Management System, PMS. Kenneth Nanim reports.
The Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs is taking advantage of his annual retreat to deliberate on stage-by-stage methodology of performance management system, evaluating standards, operational procedures in line with international best practices.
It is a pivotal moment for us to reflect, to re-evaluate, and re-strategize on how we can improve our performance management systems and intergovernmental coordination to provide better service to the Nigerian people.
The retreat is also discussing ways of upscaling capacities, skills and knowledge of staff in achieving the set goals. It was also a time to evaluate activities of agencies under the purview of the ministry to align collaborative efforts towards achieving the aims and objectives of the federal government. But for the minister, addressing challenges in the local communities is of paramount, and the Supreme Court's decision on local government autonomy provides the leeway.
We will make sure that the local government give their attention to primary health centers, including the education, primary school, the junior secondary school, and the secondary school. I think giving the instructional materials, give them people desks and other things. That's what we're talking about. The local road where people go, like farmers, let them go to farm and bring their farm produce to the market.
Outcomes of the retreat, the ministry says, will be utilized in collaboration with the Central Delivery Coordination Unit of the federal government. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
The latest UN report predicts that the world's population will reach its peak in the mid-2080s, growing from 8.2 billion in 2024 to around 10.3 billion by the mid-2080s, and then decreasing to around 10.2 billion by the end of the century. Assistant Secretary General for Economic Development at UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs, Naveed Hanif, says the shift has important implications for global policy and the sustainability of the planet.
The size of the world's population in 2100 is now expected to be 6% lower, or around 700 million lower than anticipated a decade ago.
Now, the World Health Organization says more than 1 million children are at risk of acute malnutrition in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It said this is a result of widespread increasing and also recurrent food insecurity in areas impacted by years of conflict. Francis Udojo brings us details.
WHO, in addition, maintains that a recent escalation in violence in the ongoing conflict in the east of the country between Congolese forces and the M23 militia has forced more people to flee their homes. It described the situation as catastrophic, with overwhelming water and sanitation systems, resulting in outbreaks of diseases including cholera, measles, and mpox. Elsewhere in the country, severe flooding and landslides, as well as long-simmering conflicts, have driven up people's needs. With over 25 million people affected, the WHO says the DRC has the world's highest number of people in need of humanitarian aid, but remains severely underfunded. It added that assistance is severely constrained by military presence around displacement sites and health facilities, bureaucratic impediments, and roadblocks disrupting aid delivery. The UN agency called for immediate action and sustained unimpeded access to address basic needs, urging the parties to work together to restore peace. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
An activist gathered to protest against the North Atlantic Treaty Organizations, NATO, and the alliance military bases in Greece's Thessaloniki, demanding an immediate end to conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza and the closure of U.S. NATO bases in Greece. Protesters who gathered in front of the U.S. Embassy burnt NATO and U.S. flags and carrying banners reading NATO and EU enemies of people, 75 years anniversary of NATO wars, while chanting the bases must go away, no participation in interventions. Reports say discussions at NATO's 75th anniversary in Washington, D.C. were laden with promises of future conflict with Russia. NATO members have supplied Ukraine with a mix of outdated and cutting-edge weapons for Ukrainian troops to experiment with on the battlefield. Since February 2022, it has become evident that Russia is engaged in a prolonged conflict with Ukraine, which is heavily dependent on the support of the U.S. and its allies. Reports say, given the uncertainty associated with the upcoming electoral round in the U.S., Biden is offering unwavering support to Ukraine and its allies. Now, at least 63 persons have been confirmed missing in Nepal after a landslide triggered by heavy monsoon rains swept 2 buses off a highway and plunged them into a river. Francis Udoja reports that dozens of search and rescue personnel combed the site for survivors of the accident, along with remote stretch of road in the central district of Chitwan.
A Chitwan district officials said the buses were carrying at least 66 people, but 3 passengers escaped as they crashed into the river. They are now receiving treatment in hospital. The official added that the survivors were out of danger and one had been discharged from the hospital. One of the survivors on his hospital bed said his 2 children and grandchildren had been aboard one of the buses when it hit the waterway. The force of the landslide pushed the buses over concrete crash barriers and down a steep embankment into the river, at least 30 meters from the road. Search and rescue teams on rafts gathered on the riverbank struggled through the muddy waters due to fierce currents made worse by the rains. Hours after the search began, there was no trace of vehicles or their occupants. The accident took place before dawn along the Narayagat-Moglin Highway, around 100 kilometers west of the capital, Kathmandu. Report says one bus was coming from Kathmandu, headed to Gar in Rautahat district in southern Nepal, and the other was en route to the capital from southern Begunj. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
The Eastern European nation of Belarus has a fair reputation as an industrialized country with special interest in the export of heavy farm implements and agricultural products. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko says his country is eager to partner Nigeria in these areas. He was speaking when he met with Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu in Belarus. State House correspondent Adini Taiwo reports.
Highlighting agriculture, food processing, industry and education are some of the key areas of cooperation between the two countries. President Lukashenko says his country is aware of several possibilities in Africa's largest economy and willing to commit its resources and expertise to harnessing them for mutual benefits. In anticipation of further collaborations, he says it is the desire of his government to have Belarusian Foreign Affairs Minister visit Nigeria. While appreciating President Lukashenko for granting 20 Nigerian students full scholarship through our pet project Renewed Hope Initiative, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu told our host that the RHI is widening the scope of women participation in agriculture by empowering them through the Women Agricultural Support Program. Earlier, the First Lady met with the Belarusian Minister of Education, Andrei Ivanets, who pointed out that there is currently a Nigerian student population of about 600 in the country, with many of them doing very well academically. He also informed the First Lady that the Belarusian government hopes to establish specialist training centers in Nigeria. During the First Lady's visit, she also met with the Speaker of Belarusian Parliament, Natalia Kuchanova, and members of the Women's Union of Belarus.
Right, we'll pause here, take a short break. More news when we return.
Tuberculosis, popularly known as TB, is an airborne disease that can be contacted by anybody regardless of age, tribe, and socioeconomic status. Despite availability of new testing equipment for TB, diagnosing TB in children is still more difficult than in adults. During the National Childhood TB Testing Week that will be taking place across the country, healthcare workers from the national and state TB programs, with support of various partners, will visit our communities to create more awareness and conduct screening and testing for TB among children. TB is treatable and curable only if detected early. Every child's life matters. Let us join hands together and end TB among our children and in Nigeria. Thank you. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The House of Representatives has set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the National Hajj Commission over what it calls low performance in the 2024 Hajj. This followed a matter of urgent public importance raised by a member representing Buratain and Kaiyama Federal Constituency in Kwara State, Muhammad Bayo. John Yaku has details on this and other issues at Thursday's plenary.
Representative Muhammad Bayo stated that the poor performance of the commission led many Nigerians to suffer during the pilgrimage in Saudi Arabia.
About 50,865 Muslim pilgrims across the states in Nigeria under the care of NACOM, and some of them were not taken care of in terms of welfare, organization, guidance, and monitoring as expected.
It's my pleasure to announce that Honorable Sade Soli will chair this ad hoc committee. Other members are Honorable Yusuf Umar Yabo, Honorable Onanuga Stanley Adedeji, Honorable Mary Ebikake, Honorable Dallade Agwe, Honorable Ahmed Jaha, Honorable Igariwe Eno, Chairman of the Muslim Pilgrims Board, Deputy Chairman, Muslim Pilgrims Board. 9 people will be in this ad hoc committee. You have 2 weeks within which to report back to the House of your findings.
The House also called for the need to curtail alleged unlawful arrests and detention of journalists across the country, as moved by Representative Clement Jumbo.
The House notes that freedom of press is a fundamental right enshrined in Section 39, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, which guarantees journalists an ability to report news without fear of arrest or persecution.
The Green Chamber also passed the bill for an act to repeal the Federal College of Dental Technology and Therapy Act and enact the Federal University of Dental Technology and Therapy, Enugu. The bill for an act to establish Nigeria French Language Village as an inter-university center for French, and the other bill to establish the National Rice Production, Processing and Research Institute, Igbemo, Ikiti. A bill for an act to alter the Constitution of Nigeria for the creation of a Titi state from Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu, and Imo states also passed second reading at plenary.
Mr. Speaker, I move that an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, to provide for the creation of a Titi state.
Speaker referred the bill to the House Committee on Constitution Amendment for further legislative process. From the National Assembly, John Yaku, NTA News.
Now, resistance to previously potent antibiotics has become a major public health challenge, requiring a range of interventions of multidisciplinary approach, with over 10 million people globally at risk of death if nothing is done. Now, as a way to eradicate the root cause of this problem, the Federal Ministry of Environment and Food and Agriculture Organization have launched the inaugural National Antimicrobial Resistance Policy for Nigeria. Charles Alpha reports.
Microbials such as antibiotics and antivirals are medicine used to prevent and treat infectious and burden of communicable diseases in humans, animals, and plants, but have been found to be impotent in the treatment of such diseases, leading to increased risk of spread, severe illness, disability, and death. And now, Nigeria's National Antimicrobial Resistance Policy, jointly launched by the Federal Ministry of Environment and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations demonstrates commitment to tackle this problem.
It is anticipated that the implementation of the National Strategy Plan on AMI for the environment sector will add generation of data on AMI in the environment for monitoring and control of antimicrobial in the environment, and that is very important.
The incorporation of AMR surveillance in the integrated National Environmental Health Surveillance System will afford us with timely alerts on AMR spread, enabling early detection of drug resistance and timely response.
FAO has since 2022 partnered Nigeria in developing the microbial resistant policy, with the document aligning with FAO and Nigeria Framework 2023-2027 plan. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
The deliberate policy to decentralize health insurance has resulted in the enrollment of more than 9.7 million Nigerians into various health insurance programs, bringing the country closer to the universal health coverage target. Uche Ugochukwu reports that this was revealed at the 2024 second quarterly review of the Forum of State Health Insurance Managers in Abuja.
This gathering of chief executives of health insurance authorities across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory affords them the opportunity to dialogue on ways to improve on effective, affordable, and accessible healthcare coverage nationwide.
In the next 10 years, I see a forum that is stronger, having health insurance message going to every nook and cranny of Nigeria, because the structure is there within our various states.
With the goal to share their experiences and leverage on one another's strengths and weaknesses, the state actors also deliberated on ways to get political and private sector more committed in the global agenda for universal health coverage.
The issue of poor awareness is countrywide, and so we are trying to raise awareness. Penetration of the rural areas will involve, good advocacy, marketing strategies to get to the grassroots. And for the basic healthcare provision funds, we are covering close to 160,000 enrollees. For the formal sector, we are approaching 600,000 enrollees. And then, of course, for the state-owned equity program, we are in the process of enrolling 39,000 sickle cell disease patients.
Participants are expected to build on discussions from the forum to further advance healthcare delivery in their states.
And to train and sharpen professional skills of the workforce in the NTA, Nigerian Institute of Training and Development and Center for Leadership and Training Center are offering their expertise to promote professionalism beyond broadcasting. Elizabeth Omori reports that NTA's boss, Salihu Abdulhamid Dembos, represented by the Executive Director, Administration and Training, assures the organizations of unflinching support.
Training, sociologists believe, provides opportunity to strengthen existing skills and learn new ones to enhance individual or organizational performance. And the NTA is committed to this to meet up with global trends in broadcasting. For this reason, the Nigerian Institute of Training and Development, which has been in existence for 35 years, is soliciting the support of the NTA to drive its mandate and offer trainings to build a workforce with positive attitude for organizational development.
We have our training calendars every year. It used to be turned out. We want you to patronize as many, because I'm sure most of the topics will benefit your staff.
On your upcoming annual trainers conference, in whatever area we can assist you to ensure that it comes up and runs smoothly, you can count on our support in that regard.
In another meeting, the Citizens and Leadership Training Center also sought the collaboration of the NTA to project its activities, focusing on molding individuals to become responsible citizens.
Assist Citizenship and Leadership Training Center
to be more known out there, and so that our mandate is better known to the members of the public, and what we are trying to achieve through the National Assembly, have the support of Nigerians.
Your goals and objectives are similar to those of the Nigerian Television Authority, and you can consider the NTA as a platform that you can use in projecting some of these values.
Reorientation of the youth, culture of volunteerism for national development, patriotism and ethics were part of issues raised. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News. Managing Director and Chief Executive of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, Shehu Usman Osidi, has reaffirmed the commitment of the bank's management in promoting financial stability and transparency within the housing sector and ensuring that every Nigerian has access to affordable housing. Osidi stated this at the bank's headquarters in Abuja, where he was conferred with the prestigious fellowship of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, ANAN. Chukunonso Nwabweze reports.
Best described as an honor well deserved, having rose through the ranks within the Nigerian banking sector spanning over 3 decades. The 13th President and Chairman of Council of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, ANAN, James Neminebo, who bestowed the prestigious fellowship of the association on Shehu Usman Osidi, MD Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, said it is in recognition of his huge contributions toward the growth and development of the nation's economy.
When you have an institution and the institution recognizes you as a member, and you too recognizes the institution as one of them, it behooves so many trusts. I thank you for the good work you are doing, and I hope you will continue to hold the name of ANAN to the zenith.
In his acceptance speech, Mr. Shehu Usman Osidi pledged to continue to uphold the values of ANAN and the accounting profession in the discharge of his responsibility as the Chief Executive of Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria.
This honor reflects the values we uphold at FMBN: integrity, accountability, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. I also want to acknowledge the conferment of this fellowship as a recognition of the positive trajectory we are now beginning to witness in the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria within the short period of assumption of office of the current executive management.
We are proud of our managing director here, but more importantly, the fact that he had always been your member. So whatever he is accomplishing here is also a testament to ANAN.
Mr. Osidi's tenure at the FMB since his assumption on the 15th of February 2024 has recorded significant achievements, which include the development of a cooperative housing development loan that delivered 3,540 housing units to cooperative societies, as well as the introduction of the Federal Mortgage Home Renovation Loan, the Rent to Own, and Nigerians in the Diaspora National Housing Fund Mortgage Loan products. Chukunonso Nwabweze, NTA News.
And now, a quick look at Saturday's weather prospects for Nigeria and other parts of the globe. This is where we end the news. My name is Frama Panyi, and John Bamidele has been the sign language interpreter. Thank you for watching.